Okay. Hello, everybody. This is Artie Astor with a special impromptu edition of B sharp and C. And this episode is a reaction a reaction to my reaction to the song Marilag by Dionella. And I want to come out and say that I am not I'm not one of those people who do reaction videos and just always come out and say every song is awesome. I'm not going to pretend every song and every performance and everything every artist does is awesome so that I increase my views and that I increase my popularity. I don't want to do that. I actually want to keep things honest, but I want to be as respectful as I possibly can because I know the tremendous amount of hard work that goes into producing a song. It's a ton of work. Recently, I did an episode of B Sharp and C talking about the song Mari. I think it was Marilag. I mean, I could be wrong, but I thought it was Marilag, yes, by Dionella. Okay. And I was immediately bothered by what I referred to as the heavy use of autotune. And I got some people in the comments a little upset, and I understand. That's something that I think that like I need to get out there. I understand. I've heard people criticize some of my favorite artists, and I'm like, what? You're totally coming out of left field. You don't have a clue what you're talking about. And I get upset and I want to defend the artist that I think is really good. So I understand that sentiment when if you like someone and then someone else comes out and criticizes your favorite artist, there's a level of that righteous indignation that comes into play where you feel that you need to defend that person, and I totally get that. I totally get it. I agree with it. I'm not against it. So I came out and criticized Dionella's performance of Marilag uh, as as being an excellent performance, but the engineering used too much autotune. Was I wrong? Was I wrong about that? Some people didn't even know what autotune was. So, was I wrong about my estimation of the song Marilag? Did I misunderstand something? Am I coming from some position of ignorance? That's always a possibility. I'm not going to sit here and say that my word is the final word. I'll never say that. This is an opinion. This show is about my opinion of other people's music. And I am a songwriter and I am a producer and I've been doing it for about 30 years or more. Now, I don't have any songs on the radio. I've never had a record deal. So I am a failed musician. Okay. I'm a musician who has never made it big. So take my opinion for what it's worth. Don't take it as etched in stone as though it's the final word in the popular vote because it's not. I didn't go anywhere with my music. In fact, a lot of people told me my music was too depressing and too dark to make it anywhere. I'm totally fine with that. But I need to at least say that I believe I have some kind of insight into how things are done in the studio because I record my and produce and engineer my own music and I've used auto tune on my own songs because I suck at singing. So I know what auto tune does to a voice. And auto tune, it's been around since the 90s, it was made famous by the song Believe by Cher. So let me see if I can find it.
No talking to you. It's so sad that you're leaving. Takes time to believe it.
This is an exaggerated, purposeful overuse of auto tune. Back then, it was actually used as an effect, and a lot of people thought that it was a vocoder or something else that was creating this vocal effect on Cher's voice. But in 1998, years after autotune had already been used, but now it exploded onto the scene, in 1998, Cher or her engineers and producers used autotune exaggeratingly on purpose. And since then, it has been used as a tool to bring people's voices into tune when they're out of tune. Now, you can use it when someone's singing live, or you can go in afterwards when you have a recording of a vocal track and you can do what most of us call pitch correct, which is go in and manually change the pitch or bring it closer to an exact tone, right? I want that G to be really close to a G right there. It's a little sharp or it's a little flat. Bring it up to a G. That is pitch correct. Now, many DAWs, I mean, for the most part, it's all called the same thing, but pitch correct and auto tune have the same function. That's to bring an audio recording into tune or to change the pitch of an audio recording. It could be a guitar note, it could be a saxophone, it could be a trumpet. Any audio recording that is going through a microphone or that is being recorded on any type of audio track can be manipulated using pitch correct or auto tune. I've used it in my music simply because, again, I suck as a singer, right? So let's take a look here and I will show you how I've used it in my music because I'm just not good at singing. Then you sing a song with a strange melody. So right there, I used auto tune at a very high level. There, I actually used it on purpose, very high, to give it an effect. But as you can tell, as you listen to the verses even before this, then you passively come to the battle line. You're looking out for number one, but this fight ain't even mine. All right. I used auto tune there because I can't reach those high notes and keep them accurate. And I wrote this song as a demo. Most of my songs I actually want to make as demos and then send them to vocalists who can actually sing the song better. Because I'm a songwriter, I'm not a vocalist. But in my efforts to make a song sound somewhat accurate, I used auto tune. When someone uses auto tune, you get kind of a robotic sounding voice. Now, you could hear little pulls, little glitches, little moments where someone's voice sounds kind of robotic or that it's being sent through some type of metal tube, right? That's not natural. It's never natural. From the 30s until now, no one's voice naturally sounds like it's being sung through some type of metal tube or some type of electronic device because our throats aren't made of bits and bytes, okay? Autotune is. So when autotune is used incorrectly, it is heard by the listener. Now, the listener of today in 2025 has become accustomed to notes being sung perfectly and to notes being almost metallic sounding or robotic sounding. And we begin to think that that's normal. But it's not because we're not robots. So what ends up happening is you were born in the year 2005, okay? Now it's the year 2025. So you're 20 years old. Your whole life, you've essentially listened to music that has been released professionally on the radio or on streaming services, wherever. You're accustomed to listening to music that has been adjusted, that has been edited, that has been manipulated so that the tune or the tuning is basically pitch perfect. But in that process, there are times that it comes across a little bit robotic. It happens to everyone. It happens in R&B, unfortunately, because R&B it should never happen in, because I believe R&B really features the vocal aspect of music very nicely. But it happens in R&B. It happens everywhere in hip hop. It's now happening in country. It happens a lot now for some reason in reggae, right? It happens in basically every genre. And yes, it happens in rock and roll. But I believe the engineers and producers, when it comes to rock and roll, oh, I forgot pop. It happens all the time in pop. Rock and roll, I believe they go to greater lengths to hide when they use pitch correct. Uh, I'm actually not even against the fact if a singer comes in and sings a take and then goes home for the day, and you can't get that singer to come back into the studio, and there's one note that's just a little bit off, I have no problem with the engineer spending a half hour to 45 minutes or less or more trying to find a way to bring that note right in tune, but also not make it sound like auto tune. Because rock and roll, that auto tune sound doesn't necessarily fit, whereas it does. It's come to fit in other genres, right? I'm fine with that. I am perfectly fine with that. So let's go back to Dionella. I found a beautiful video of Dionella. This is Dionella. No microphone, no nothing. I think I don't know if he's in a subway or where he is, but he's somewhere. But he's busking, right? Listen to how beautiful this man's voice is. Ready? So we can hear that he's got a very organic and beautiful voice. Now, I go and I want to listen to him, the same song, listen to him live at the Cozy Cove.
I was not a flower until they bloom. Like my first time living life the day I met you. Hate to think that humans have to die someday. 1,000 years won't do.
You take this and you take the beginning of the other song that I was listening to. Hold on a second.
No, whoa, 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 whoa.
Okay, I'm going to play that line again.
Whoa, whoa, whoa.
And again.
No, whoa, 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 whoa.
I am not saying that Dionella himself walked up to his engineer or walked up to his producer and said, before this video is released or before this is released or before we, make any final touches on this video, I need to make sure the auto tune has been used on my vocal track. I am not saying that, okay? This is what I'm saying. I think that this young man has tremendous talent, and the music is actually very nice. I think that myself at almost 50 years old, who saw the world before autotune and who sees the world after autotune, what I'm saying is someone somewhere along the line used either pitch correct or autotune on his vocal track. I'm not saying the whole entire vocal track has it, because if it's pitch correct, you can go in and change it. I mean, I can literally show you how it's done. Hold on a second. All right, I think this is working now. Hold on a second. Whoa, whoa, whoa. All right, so you heard me sing that line right there. I click it, I go to pitch edit, and there are my notes. Now, I can click this correct button, which literally corrects everything that I just sang. Now watch the notes move. Okay, now I will play it again. Whoa, whoa, whoa. It doesn't sound the greatest. Whoa, whoa. But now I can even edit that more. I can say, okay, this part right here, let me just cut it with the razor. This part right here, I need to make really tight because I'm all over the place, okay? So I bring it down so that it stays right within that B flat, okay? Now listen to it. Whoa, whoa. Did you hear the quality of the voice change? And I can do the same thing here. I can bring it all down so that it's all 100% now B flat. So I'm taking the line that I sang and I'm forcing it to be an exact B flat, okay? Whoa, whoa. Okay, did you hear now how that sounded a little bit more robotic? And that is all I'm saying. When you take a singer, whether it's rhythm and blues, whether it's reggae, country, hip hop, when you take a vocalist and you do that with the voice and you correct it, and if you noticed, I only corrected the last couple of notes. I didn't correct the notes before it. Or I did, but I did minor corrections. I just kind of did a quick overall edit so that it took any minor discrepancies and tried to bring them in. Usually you can do that without hearing it. But sometimes the vocal note or whatever it is you're trying to do is not totally fixed by doing an overall correct. So you go in and you do a little bit more pitch correct. If you pitch correct too much, you get a little bit of that sound. It's just the way pitch correct works. Whoa, whoa. You hear that last note? You can hear that it sounded a little robotic. Now I can go in and do Control A and make everything. Oops, hold on a second. All right, let me go in. This is driving me nuts. Okay, I'm going to make all of it now 100% on key. Now, 100% of it is going to be perfect pitch. No note is even going to be a microtone off. Whoa, whoa. So you can hear how the human quality of my voice is not there anymore.
No, whoa, 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 whoa.
I am sorry. Someone is putting pitch correct on that note. I'm not saying he's a bad artist. I'm saying this beautiful artist, this beautiful music, this beautiful composition, everything that's perfect about the song has been put out to the public. And I think, it's my opinion, I think there's too much pitch correct, too much auto tune on certain aspects of the vocal track. So I stand by what I said. I do not want to give a high score to a band where, whether in post or, I mean, here's the thing that drives me nuts. This song could have been performed without autotune. And then the engineers got it afterwards. And then as they were working on making the video and putting the sound with the video and working on all the soundtracks and editing everything, some engineer in post could have gone in and and had done that on their own. I don't know exactly the whole process that they go through when it comes to editing and engineering and releasing their songs, but I know what it sounds like when someone uses too much auto tune on a vocal track, and that was it. That was it. So when I hear that in a rhythm and blues song, I'm like, rhythm and blues is kind of one of those genres where in my opinion, again, I'm a layman, but in my opinion, rhythm and blues is one of those genres where you kind of want the organic and natural quality of the voice to kind of shine through because of the fact that that is what the genre calls for. So when someone releases a song in that genre and you can hear what you used to hear when you were doing your own music and engineering your own music and engineering other people's music, you hear what auto tune or pitch correct does to a vocal track. When you hear that, your first thought is, oh, come on, because of the fact that the song in and of itself is amazing. The song is great. The artist is great. I think he's probably going to have an amazing career. But I also think, and I have to take into consideration too, that times are changing, and I entertain that possibility. Times are changing. The ear is changing. People today hear a song that has a lot of auto tune and they think this is great. I'm just from a different generation, but I still have to give my opinion. And in my opinion, I have to give my opinion in a way that is true to what I feel and true to myself. I do not want to pretend I don't hear it. I'm from the era of when a vocalist came out and started singing, and you got everything. You got the mistakes, you got everything when they were singing. And we're in an era now, we're in a generation now where that can be fixed. And I understand that. Um, but some people have an ear to hear when it's being fixed. And that might take a little bit of getting used to. But right now, as I heard the song, I thought, oh, I really wanted to get the natural sound of his voice because I think it is stunningly beautiful. You can and you hear that right there? I heard an absolutely amazing vibrato. A beautiful vibrato. Beautiful vibrato. When auto tune or pitch correct is used a little bit too much, it can actually erase somebody's vibrato. And I like to hear the vibrato, even if it's a little bit flat. Perfect. Perfect. So that's all I'm saying. And I'm reacting to everyone's reaction to my reaction because I feel like I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings, but at the same time, I feel like I need to be honest and I refuse to pretend that every song I listen to is perfect. Otherwise, who's even going to want to watch my reviews if every single song I review I say, "Oh my god, that's awesome. Woo-hoo, that's great." I don't know. If I hear something that I disagree with or that I think is unpleasant or that I think that needs to change, I'm going to say it. And one of the reasons why is because I have entered my songs. I have 60 songs I've released. I've entered my songs into shows and I've gotten completely trashed and I've gotten completely um, torn apart. You know, this is bad, that's bad, the engineering's bad, this is off key, that's bad, the singing's bad. I actually was told that my singing was so bad that I should use auto tune. And here's the funny thing in that song, I did use auto tune, and I still got criticized for singing out of tune. Anyways, that's all I have to say. I hope I've dispelled any misunderstandings, but that's it. Dionella, keep up the great work. I actually really do think you're going to have an amazing career. But that being said, this is Artie Astor from B Sharp and C saying until next time, keep it groovy.